The conversation has already started even before we came back here, but let's get into it and start off with the dailies. Keep your views coming at Trevor Mbija at Citizen TV Kenya, #DayBreak. First up on the Daily Nation front page, MPs in mad rush to change elections law. Before we get into that, Ngina calls out immature leaders. Well, speaking in Gatundu, the former First Lady questions the indiscipline of those attacking Uhuru on the campaign trail and implores Kenyans to go where the president points them to. If you're wondering what I'm talking about, this is what she said. Listen.
Mana toko matigoro uo ange koro irumisio maru tiro magekura ndeke mwere ithue togaria kwendana bururi-ini witũ na tutwarithie maundu ma bururi na mbere na mumenye na kuria murorete na mutongoria wanyu ndangihota kumuonia kuria njira ĩrĩa ĩtagĩrĩire ndimwire muthie na mbere kumenya ati mutegetina haria mundu aikaire niwe gwikire thambo iriaga na ndari na uru no ningi ungikionio uru ni uria munyinyi waku ri wagitindania nake githe tuthie na mbere ndeke mwire kuria aramuonia murore kuo na ndamucokeria ngatho muno. Thank you.
Dr. Court, follow the direction your leader points you to because he would not lead in the wrong path. Do you agree with Mama Ngina?
It depends. If my leader leads me onto the cliff, then unfortunately I cannot follow that leader. But what's interesting for Mama Ngina is she's talking about ill intentions between the two leaders, the president and his deputy. The unfortunate thing about our country is that leaders don't really come out to explain the problems to the public. In other words, you know, as a student of law back in the days, I read in administrative law that there are two principles called mandatory accountability and explanatory accountability. So you can make a decision which is wrong, but then you have to explain as part of accounting to the populace, to the country, or you can actually do something to amend that mistake. Now, unfortunately, in Kenya, I think politics in Kenya is about bullying. If I don't follow you, then you are bad. And we have seen it in the formation of all these coalitions. Some coalitions are okay for people to join, but some coalitions are bad for other people to join. So that when, for example, someone like, just to use the example of, say, Mudavadi. When Mudavadi, I think, decided to join DP William Ruto, you see the vilification against him. They called him all manner of names. Atuoli came out and called him a man who has sold his humanity. But on the other hand, if you, for example, follow the coalition of Azimio, which is aligned to the president and Raila Odinga, it's okay. You know, so I think, unfortunately, our politics is so partisan, it's so personal, and it surprises me that even a former First Lady, or the first Lady in the Republic of Kenya, is now coming out, I don't know how many years later, to actually, you know, add a voice to the politics of 2022. I wonder really what the interest is. I read a lot of personal interest. Yeah. I read people wanting to really secure themselves, and therefore, and for me, yes, he's speaking, of course, on behalf of his son, the President Uhuru Kenyatta. And I think for me, this adds a lot of insults to Kenyans, that in my view, President Uhuru Kenyatta should really be consolidating his legacy, whatever it is, whatever his legacy is, instead of now really, as people have said, it's not me, that he has obviously become just a campaign manager for one of the aspirants. And I think it's unfortunate that even his mother now, and I hope other relatives also, just not join the bandwagon, and let competition of ideas be the thing, not this personalization.
Okay, Janet.
That's very interesting, and I think it is not fair for people to just keep victimizing people for what they are. I am not sure Mama Ngina can change her history. I mean, she is a former First Lady of the Republic of Kenya. There is nothing she can do about it. She is the mother of the sitting president. There is absolutely nothing she can do about it. That does not mean that she cannot have an opinion about anything that is being done. Like any other person out there, she has an opinion. And that opinion should not be looked at because she is Mama Ngina. She is a Kenyan, and she is a Kenyan from the mountain region. Her narrative is not different from what everybody else from the mountain is saying. Like, look, listen to your leaders. Because, Trevor, politics is a question of who gets what, when, and how. And how we are structured as a country, we are not asking who gets what, when, and how at an individual level. We are asking who gets what, when and how at a community level. People should not sit on these tables and lie. Because even when my friend Okot was running, he was first identifying himself as a Turkana, as somebody coming from a marginalized community.
That's a lie.
Who did not, no, we were in this republic.
That's a very big lie.
Who told you, who told you that now you can own a community and you can sit on a platform and purport to represent a certain group of people, but other people do not have that kind of right to sit down and tell people, look, my good people, this is the direction that we want to take. Okay. Because when we speak about interests, we are speaking about our interests as a region. Because we are speaking about our coffee, we are speaking about our maize, we are speaking about, and that happens everywhere. Even when the pastoralists are speaking, they're speaking about their market for their beef, they're speaking, so they have a right to speak as a community, and that does not deny Mama Ngina a right as a Kenyan to speak to the people.
Okay. All right. Kosgei, she said when your deputy has ill intentions, what do? You move forward without him. What is the reaction to what she said?
Let me just say this, that first of all, you know, there is an unwritten rule in politics, which is that as much as politicians may go hammer and tongs with each other, there are some areas that are off limits, which is including family, relatives, and children, and other associated people. And normally, that happens. The media respects it, because I think even those of you in the media do not necessarily highlight things that are to do with their personal issues. And those relatives also, usually, because of that unwritten rule, they themselves also usually are expected to avoid commenting or getting into the fray of political issues and living their life aside from whatever might be happening in the political arena. And that unwritten rule exists not just in Kenya, internationally, everywhere. Now, by Mama Ngina doing this, she's breaking that rule. Because what does she actually want us to do? To engage with her one-on-one, which would actually be extremely unseemly, because it would be unfair for politicians to start hitting out at the mother of the president and a former first lady. And it would have been hoped that somebody would have advised her that, look, because of your position and because of the fact that you hold this respected former position also, we would hope that you would avoid commenting on these things, because we do not want to be in political rallies or in public places or even on TV like this, you know, saying negative things about her. But, you know, she said what she said. My response to it would be, you cannot on the one hand say that I don't want to insult somebody, and then on the other hand, make those negative comments about Ruto. You are, by definition, insulting somebody. And that, unfortunately, is what we do not want. We would hope that we could have a free and fair election and people could be able to make their decisions fairly and completely avoid having to have these kind of back and forth insults. And what she has done is clearly insulting somebody. And she just said in that clip, I don't want to insult somebody. I mean, it's a contradiction. And we would have hoped that she wouldn't do these things.
Okay. Fair point. DG?
Yeah, Trevor, thanks for having us here once again to talk about politics in our country. And good morning, all the viewers. I watched that clip last night, and I think for me, what worried me most is that statement of when your leaders tell you to do something, just do it. They can't be leading you in the wrong path. I think, Trevor, we've reached a point in our country where our voters are able to make decisions on their own. We should be competing, like Dr. Okot said, on ideas. People should go out, sell their policies. What is it that they're going to do to ensure that they can uplift the lives of Kenyans? And then our voters can make decisions. I think we have reached a point where we believe just because people are not very well off, or a lot of our people are living below the poverty line, that they are fools. They're not fools. They can make a decision and they can differentiate between right and wrong. So this whole notion of, since my leader has said we're going to go one way, I don't care whether it's right or wrong. I don't care whether it's good for me or bad for me and my family. I'll just do it because my leader has said we should do it. I think we should get away from that kind of politics. Okay. On the insult part, honestly speaking, I would have liked Mama Ngina to substantiate how the deputy president has insulted anybody.
Intention.
I keenly watch all his campaigns, and he's never insulted anyone. More so the president. He always comes on record and says, this is my president, this is my boss, I respect him, but all he has talked about is betrayal. saying, listen, how can I have stood by my friend 4 times in 2002, in 2013, and twice in 2017? Voted for him, stood by him. And when it comes to time for me to make my bid for president, he goes and stands by somebody who has never voted for him, goes and campaigns for somebody who has never stood by him, even once during his quest for presidency. So I think as a human being, he also feels a little betrayed. I mean, if it was me, I'd also feel betrayed. But I don't think the deputy president has insulted anybody.
All right.
Yeah.
Trevor, I wanted to quickly just say one. First of all, let's correct an impression here. If there's one person who has never relied on his ethnic or tribal background in the quest for political power in this country, I can say it's me, and I will say it with a lot of conviction. So I've never made it through kind of my backyard like many politicians, do. You hear people say Rift Valley is my backyard, Nyanza is my backyard, Central Mount Kenya is my backyard. You never heard a Kuru say Turkana or Northern Kenya. But anyway, that's a non-issue because it's a cheap throw. But going back to Mama Ngina's statement, first of all, she's actually the one who was insulted Kenyans and many Kenyans by saying that when people behave in a certain way, it means it speaks about how they were raised. When a mother says that of other people's children, that's an insult. On what basis does she measure that the way I speak means I was raised badly or whatever, in whichever way? I think she's the one who is actually, in my view, calling insult. And that consequently means what? If you put yourself in the public arena to discuss matters politics, then you are inviting people to actually begin, to question you, to attack you, because on what basis are you speaking? I think for me, I agree with Koskei and Deputy Governor Mweke that wisdom calls for her to just stay and say, listen, I've been a mother of this nation. My son is the president of this republic. I should not be seen to be partisan in a certain way, because see, she also has not told us who are these leaders she wants us to just follow when they speak. There are so many leaders in this country, including my friend here, including my 2 friends here. I mean, elected MP here, former deputy governor of Nairobi. They are all leaders in their own right. If a leader says to you, I'm going to do this, you see what Mama Ngina has not done to us, said to us, and unfortunately now we are discussing her because she has put herself in the public domain. Should we also just now follow our son blindly because he says this is the way we do? Let's analyze what our son has done in the last, say, 10 years. That is what Mama Ngina has invited for us to actually look into. So we have to look into, okay, who is this leader that she's asking us to follow? So for me, wisdom will have called for her to just say, I've occupied a very special position in this country before. My son is in charge of this country. He has friends. I think I'll remain as a mother, and I will not want to be involved in matters of public affairs. It does not take away our opinion as a Kenyan. But you also ought to know, as a Kenyan, when do I speak? Okay. And if I speak, what does that mean? Especially in a time like this, when there is very hotly contested, presidential bid towards 2022. Okay. So for me, I would rather not speak. And I think, look, who is criticizing Kibaki today? Doesn't Kibaki have an opinion as a former president of this republic? He has an opinion, but he knows that, I've been there. I'm a wise man. I know this is my position today will call for people to actually attack me or criticize me. Okay. And that's the same thing that President Uhuru has actually done. If President Uhuru has decided, you know what, wish you all good luck. I'm your president. I'm going to focus on my legacy. May the best man or best woman win the 2022 election. The moment he comes in and puts himself into arena again, unfortunately, he is fighting criticism of himself.
Should the president have taken a back seat, like what Dr. Okot is suggesting? Just finish your term, don't support anyone.
Yet, when Obama supported Hillary, we did not have a problem with that because we idolize them. But when it is us and our issues, and when it is not suited to the positions that we support, we can only criticize. I think the president, as any other Kenyan, has got a right to take whatever political decisions that he wants to do, and especially when it pertains to matters continuity of his legacy project, of the work that he has done. It is not like, even when Mama Ngina speaks, it is not like there is anybody who is afraid of our, as a Jubilee government, our legacy to be criticized. I mean, it is out there for everybody to see. It is out there for everybody to criticize and comment. We are not shy of any criticism. And that is why, even when Mama Ngina is speaking, I still insist that she is a Kenyan. And you know, you cannot measure everybody by Kibaki. There are those also who feel that Kibaki did not do the right thing by exiting, you know, quietly. So opinions are different across the table. And what I would say is that the reason as to why we see the president very vocal about some of these things is about continuity, really. Because I think for me, we do not want to, and when we come to discuss this in the dailies, we shall be discussing it, that a regime comes, picks up these projects, and then another one comes, picks up a completely different, types of projects, and who suffers? It is us, the taxpayers, that do not sit here for projects to be continued, for legacies to be, so that we are talking about over 20 years, because a lot of these investments are not investments that you would do in 5 years. They are projects that you'd probably do in 10 years, and you'd want to see that kind of legacy, continued. And a lot more so, if you think about what is happening and what has been happening in Nairobi, you can only want continuity and really desire that there is very little disruption, is there be any. And I know that probably that is a line that the president is pursuing. Okay.
Because should the president have completely stayed away from endorsing anyone and just stuck to his legacy? Or should he have endorsed his deputy president because he had said, yangu kumi yake kumi?
Yes, I mean...
where the real continuity is.
Yes, the issue, exactly. If we wanted to have continuity, that would have been the way to do it, because they began the project, they began the Big Four agenda, they began the push. They initially actually said that Uhuru will have 10 years, this other person, we will support him after that. It is there on record. So if he wanted to be fair, he should have actually done that. And if that had been the case, I think a lot of things would have been a lot easier. And there would even have been a lot less tension right now than there is.
Yeah.
But if he had actually felt that that's not possible for him to do, probably the best thing for him to do would have been to stay neutral. Because many times we have said that if we cannot have your support, then fair enough. But let us have a free and fair contest. Do not come and show sides, because that removes the ability to have a free and fair contest. And then it creates a lot of division that is existing, that even actually what is happening now, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, but how would you have had a free and fair contest if he supported the deputy president?
No, that support would have been based on the fact that they are from the same party. And they are supporting each other, following through what they had promised.
So how would that
see, like even what you mentioned, like you mentioned about Obama and the rest, it was because they were of the same party.
Yes.
And so when you have the same party, you have the same vision, you came together for a purpose, which is what happened with Uhuru and Ruto in 2013. They say that we have a common agenda. They started, the voters gave them that, the mandate to go ahead and implement all they had said. They finished their first term, they were re-elected. At that point, it was understood that after that election, if all goes well, Uhuru will support this person.
If all goes well, thank you for the caveat.
What went wrong? What actually, you tell us what went wrong, because Uhuru has not actually ever come out to say what went wrong.
Yes.
Because why doesn't he tell us? Because this is somebody who has supported him, has been a good deputy to him, and what exactly has caused him to say that he doesn't want to support this fellow? Because all of the things that he says are amorphous. He's never actually come out to say what is the problem.
DG, you know you'd call this betrayal.
It is betrayal, yes.
Should he have just stayed away from it completely? The president?
Yeah, it's a very interesting question, Trevor. It's about, as a person, as a leader, what kind of legacy do you want to leave behind? I think the danger of an outgoing president actively endorsing and campaigning for somebody, especially who they have not been with. You know, Obama case was different. Janet never supported Hillary throughout the primaries.
That's true.
He waited. He's in the Democratic Party. He was not even in the leadership of the Democratic Party. He waited until the primaries were done, and whoever the delegates chose as their presidential candidate, he said, you know what, I endorse this person. Yeah. Kenya is very, very strange, where the government of the day, the ruling party, has joined the opposition. It's very, very, very strange. It's never happened before. And if you take the example of former President Moi, he found himself in that position where he took a stand He went against the grain because there was a succession plan within KANU. You know, there was Saitoti, there was Kalonzo Musyoka, there was Musalia Mudavadi, there was Kamodho. There was a whole succession plan in the vice presidents in KANU that day. And all of a sudden, one day, he woke up a few months to the election and he decided, I'm not going to follow any of these guys who have been with me. So he betrayed them. I think Raila Odinga was also there. And he picked someone who had pretty much never been elected anywhere before, which was our current president, Uhuru Kenyatta, and said, this is going to be your president. And he ran with it. And Kenyans revolted. And what happened is it completely destroyed Moi's legacy and embarrassed him. Because even during the inauguration on December 30th of 2002, people were stoning him. Instead of giving him a good send-off and saying, you've done 24 years, mzee, enda ukapumzike, people stoned him. They sang yote yawezekana bila Moi, because the Kenyans really felt betrayed and said, listen, you're pushing something down our throat. Okay. And we think that's what the president is doing right now. He's pushing something down our throat. And Kenyans are saying, listen, why don't you allow us to make our own choice. Okay. So I think if I was the president, I'd have chosen to go the legacy way and said, listen, I've been your president for 10 years. I have done my bit. And which is a very good quality of a leader, is to just know when to move on. Okay. I mean, Trevor, I'm seeing in the newspapers, and I'm not in Azimio, so I'm not quite sure, but I see in the newspapers that now they want to split government 3 ways, and Uhuru will get part of that government. Come on, he's run government for 10 years. What more do you want? A third for another 10 years?
But Trevor, there's a more fundamental point,
it's strange,
which I think I get from a DG. Yeah. Do we really believe in political parties in this country? And what do they stand for? Because if you have been a leader in a political party for 10 years, and then all of a sudden you choose to support a party that you've always fought for, say, the last, I don't know, maybe even 20 years, then it means there are really no values and principles in our political, political journey in this country. Because talking of continuity, I mean, if you're talking about continuity then will mean I formed this political party called Jubilee. I believe in its ideals and its principles. There is a membership. There are succession planning in that political party. I can only a rational human being will say, I can only support a member of that political party. That's what Obama did. And when we keep on talking about, by the America, comparing Obama, we idolize Obama. If you are in America, my friend, many of the people today who are saying they want to run for presidents will not even qualify. That's America for you, meaning people really believe in certain values and principles in their political parties. And what has come out clearly, Trevor, is that President Uhuru does not even believe in Jubilee. Jubilee was just a vehicle to put him into power. Once he's in power, let's now look at what is my interest tomorrow. And therefore, my interest tomorrow may not be secured in Jubilee because he never really believed in Jubilee. I mean, and listen, I'm not rooting for Ruto. I mean, I don't think he should be the president of this country. But going by that trend of thought, that if you really talk about continuity, continuity can only happen within your own outfit.
Though in fairness, when Jubilee has not really been dissolved, it's just come into a coalition, which is now Azimio. So the party still exists.
And again,
Jubilee is a political party, and she is running on a Jubilee ticket. Yes. Yeah, she's running on a Jubilee ticket. Because of, do you remember that we came from TNA, the national, the TNA, and then there was URP, and many other political parties. They all collapsed to form one Jubilee. That was a belief in something. That was a belief in something. That we don't have to have all these small political parties. Let's have one grand political party. That's Jubilee. So Jubilee is a political party. So then if you're going to decamp from your own party, and that's why I'm raising a fundamental question here, and I'm sure we cannot exhaust it today, do we really believe in political parties in this country, and what do they really stand for? What about the individuals who are actually leaders in these political parties?
Okay.
Yeah?
Janet, very briefly, I have to take a quick break.
It's like he does not exist in this country. That to just say that I belong to ODM or I belong to Jubilee, fine, you belong to ODM, you belong to Jubilee. But the reality, as we speak currently, is that we have to get ourselves into coalitions. And I think for me, it even helps a lot better, because I think we have bigger problems as a country than believing in ideologies of parties. I think for me, national cohesion comes first, ranked top among the things that you would want to see in a country. And so looking at parties really coming together and believing in one cause and moving together. For me, it is much, much, much bigger, considering where we have come from as a country. We might want to compare ourselves with other people that believe in ideologies, but when we come to our realities, we are not going to sit here and pretend that ethnicity, negative ethnicity, has really not beaten us so much and really affected the models of our economic growth and so on and so forth. So for us, sitting across a table and discussing that this is Jubilee, this is what you believe in, and we want to even discuss further. There are very few political parties in this country that are national in outlook. A lot of parties really just coalesce in their communities. So it is a way of harnessing partnerships that will come together on the table and create this national outlook where we have argued in this country that the winner takes it all. So the models of having us sharing the cake in a manner that really massages the perceptions of every aspect of the community and everybody feeling that I am a Kenyan, I am participating, and I'm not only participating in the process, but I am a beneficiary of the process. I think for us as a country, that should rank very, very, very high, more than believing in ideologies that are only one community based. And if we want to discuss our political parties here, we shall discuss the political parties. What we have.
I wish I had a chance to reply to that.
I have to take a break now. When we come back, we're talking about the MPs in mad rush to change the elections law. This is coming up in just a bit, all right? See you shortly.
Janet.